When I discovered that my husband had been sleeping with my sister, something inside me shattered beyond repair. I divorced him without hesitation, severed all ties with my dysfunctional family, and tried to bury the pain beneath silence and distance. But life, in its cruel unpredictability, had other plans. Back then, Daniel, my husband, was 34, and we had been married for 6 years. By all outward appearances, we were solid. Sure, we had the typical fights, moments of friction and fatigue that every couple goes through, but we grew from them. At least, I thought we did. I believed our love had matured into something steady and strong, something real. Everything felt peaceful, almost too peaceful, until about 8 months ago when my younger sister Vanessa returned to our hometown. She was 27 and had been living in Florida since she was 19, chasing some version of freedom or escape I never truly understood. She came back under the shadow of heartbreak. Her longtime boyfriend had suddenly left her and moved to another city, leaving her stranded and homeless. The details of their breakup were murky, wrapped in half-truths and contradictions. Vanessa claimed he'd been cheating on her, with men. It was hard to believe. Not because I knew him well. I didn't. In fact, I'd only met him 3 times over the 5 years they were together. He'd rarely joined her on visits home, and only once did he bother to travel with her when we came to see them. But something about her story felt convenient, and still I gave her the benefit of the doubt. She was my sister. The last time I had the opportunity to meet him was 3 years ago, when my husband and I went to visit them for a day while we were on vacation. I simply did not get the impression that he was the kind of person who would carry on a double life and then abandon Vanessa with nothing. When I attempted to get in touch with him, I discovered that I was blocked, so I decided to simply leave it go. During the first month that Vanessa was in this location, she moved back in with my parents, Lena, who is 54 years old, and Julian, who is 57 years old. She had a hard time finding jobs, so I recommended that Daniel might be able to assist her in finding employment. The fact that he is a higher up in his organization led him to believe that he would have some influence. In the end, he was successful in securing a post for her within his department. This is a field-related job for her. To provide some context, my sister and I have never been particularly close to one another. When it comes to our mother, our father is completely spineless, and she is the child that our mother considers to be the most precious. It's not exactly the most obvious thing. There are a million little things. For instance, when we turned 16, we both acquired automobiles. However, I got a Dodge Neon that was older than 8 years, while she got a Mitsubishi Eclipse that was older than 2 years. Over the years, she has spent thousands of dollars on her dancing competitions, as well as her dance practices and clothes. In spite of the fact that some of those competitions were 6 or 7 hours away, they did not even bat an eye. However, when I would ask for $50 to attend a volleyball or basketball camp at the college in our town, they would give it to me. However, you might have thought that I was asking them to construct my very own arena if you had not been paying attention. When I was 17 years old, I was the most irritated by something. I had lost track of time when I was out with my partner, and a quarter of an hour after my curfew had passed. In exchange for that, they confiscated my automobile for an entire month. The following year, when my sister arrived home 2 hours late and smelled like marijuana, she was given a stern talking to make up for her tardiness. When daughter departed for college and made the decision to remain in Florida, I wasn't particularly emotional about it. She Vanessaed spending more and more time in our house, which at first I thought was wonderful because it seemed like she was making an effort to be closer to me. However, she continued to do this despite all of those things. It was then that I became aware of the fact that she and Daniel were becoming rather acquainted with one another. At length, they would discuss what seemed to be everything and everything. It was then that they began to have their own little jokes. If I attempted to involve myself, they would tell me that it was only a matter of work. When I inquired about it, my husband simply stated that they shared a great deal of similarities and were collaborating on a number of initiatives at their place of employment. After approximately a month of this, the first significant warning sign was that she would be at our house when I got home from work. Since then, she has continued to do this. The job schedules that Daniel and I have are not the same. I work from 10 to 7, whereas he has a typical workday that goes from 8 to 4:30. This occurred quite frequently. When I inquired about it, I was always told that we had some work-related tasks to complete. 2 months ago, I became aware of something that caused me to doubt whether or not I was still sane. Before I go for work each day, I always make sure to make the bed. When I make the bed, I always make sure that the side of the pillowcase that is open is facing the edge of the bed. That day, Vanessa had passed away. After she had finished eating with us, she went back to my parents' place after I had returned home. I observed that 2 of the pillows had the cases inserted toward the middle of the pillow as we were getting into bed. I inquired of my husband whether or not he had been in bed today. He appeared to be a little shaken, but no, he said. I asked you why you were asking. I made the bed this morning, but it is not the same as it was before. It was then that he informed me that I must have been wrong because there was no one in the bed. It was without his knowledge that I searched through his laptop and phone, but I did not find anything. On the other hand, they worked together for 8 hours every day, 5 days a week, and then they hung together after every shift. Why would they feel the need to send a text message? I had the impression that I was going insane. My parents extended an invitation to us to join them for dinner around 2 weeks ago. This was going swimmingly until I saw something. Vanessa reached out and tentatively grasped Daniel's arm as he was simply passing by. The moment he turned his attention to her, she murmured something, and the 2 of them brushed foreheads together. It was merely a fraction of a second. He jolted himself awake and continued walking. Vanessa then took a quick glance in my direction, smiled, and then returned to the activity she had been engaged in. Don't think I'm a moron. It's no secret that this is a mountain of warning signs. To put it simply, I do not want to believe it. I was 21 years old when I first fell in love with the man who would become my husband. I had a weekend trip to the city planned out for myself. I was going to inquire about the situation there with him. The last thing I wanted was for it to be what I was thinking. I am happy to report that you are doing fine, but my world has been ruined. We embarked on our excursion over the weekend. There was a pleasant evening on Friday. We were intimate, we danced, and we went out for drinks. On the next day, we had additional plans, and I was on the verge of not saying anything. In my mind, it was impossible for him to be doing that with her while he was doing this with me. I couldn't have been more wrong. My sister and I were getting ready to Vanessa our Saturday, and I questioned him directly whether he was having an affair with her. I was almost ready to Vanessa our Saturday. Indeed he was, he answered with tears in his eyes. My own heart was broken. Why did he ask me that? He expressed his regret, stating that he had no intention for this to take place. Instantaneously, they connected, and before he realized it, they were kissing, and then they kissed again. When I got home from work, I inquired as to whether or not he had been sharing our bed with her before I arrived. I departed at that point, and he appeared to be embarrassed by turning his head. My only possession was my pocketbook, and I drove home without him. I had nothing else with me. A few hours later, he arrived with my other belongings after he ordered an Uber and arrived. Although he made an effort to apologize, I did not appreciate his apology. In spite of my weeping, he went ahead and packed his luggage and headed to a motel. On the following day, I informed my folks. They had prior knowledge. They expressed their regret for what had occurred and informed me that Vanessa had gone the previous evening and that it was possible that she may not return for a few days. I have no doubt that she went to stay with Daniel. All of that took place at least 3 months ago. Our separation is finalized. Almost immediately, Daniel was able to locate a flat that he could rent, and Vanessa moved in with him. Our divorce is the sole reason I am reaching out to him at this time. Initially, he suggested that I could just take possession of the house and the savings. This seems to be an instance of guilt talking. Afterward, after a few days had passed, he informed us that we would be required to divide the house. I am aware that Vanessa was singing in his ear because I had already transferred everything out of the savings account and into a new account. There was no need for a struggle in that regard. In an instant, 9 years of my life had vanished from my existence. It is completely unknown to him what he is getting himself into. The fact that she is a narcissist means that she will eventually abandon him. Vanessa has been quite harsh throughout the entirety of this situation. I was tagged in a Facebook post by her a few days after I discovered the information. The photograph was a selfie of the 2 of them, with him giving her a peck on the cheek before taking the picture. "Feeling loved" was written in the caption. I was so disgusted by it that I logged out of my account and removed the application from my mobile device. A little over an hour later, she sent me a text message saying, "Sorry, sister. It wasn't my intention to tag you. Please don't take offense. I hope that we can continue to be close." When the time comes, you will also find your true love. I did not allow her to access. Aside from that, I blocked her on everything that came to mind. For the most part, my parents have not improved. In the beginning, they gave the impression that they were sympathetic. My mother looked at me and said, "I'm sorry that this happened." This occurred when I informed them that I would be terminating all communication with Vanessa and Daniel. Despite the fact that it shouldn't have happened this way, your sister has every right to be joyful as well. You are going to meet someone, and then we will be able to put all of this behind us. I was so enraged that I informed them about the text that Vanessa had sent me, as well as the photo that she had tagged me in. According to my mother, you really shouldn't be using that things in the first place. During this entire period, my father has not made a single sound. He does nothing but sit by. At one point, I inquired about his thoughts, and he just responded. After expressing my complete agreement with your mother, I exited the room. Likewise, I am going to completely avoid any touch with them. I will be moving to a different state, and the house will be sold in the near future. I will not disclose the location or time to any member of my family. It is not something that I have disclosed to them. The last of them has just been completed. They are in my worst possible wishes. Get up to date. Thank you, everyone. Although I am aware that it has been 4 years since I last updated everyone, a significant event took place during that time. Please allow me to begin by providing you with an update about myself. I very recently become engaged. To get myself back out there, I had to go through a serious amount of therapy. Immediately after I had settled down in Minnesota, I ventured out into the dating world. After going on a first date that was satisfactory, I was confronted with the realization that he was an obnoxious jerk after that. I made a solemn vow to never again be with a male. At that point, I decided to seek professional help in order to work through the trauma that I had experienced as a result of my husband's and sister's betrayal, as well as my parents' abandoning of me. Despite the fact that it was a challenging year, I was able to meet Nathan, a male who was 37 years old. My father and he share the same first name. That is correct. However, Nathan is a wonderful person and he is a cook. Together with his fraternal twin brother Lucas, he is the proprietor of a restaurant and bar that is exceedingly successful. A future with Nathan is something that I am very enthusiastic to begin. Now that I've finished talking about myself, I'd want to tell you about the chutzpah that my family possessed. I had not been in contact with anyone for around 9 months after I had gone. The location of my new home was a secret from them. Only a few of my close friends and a couple of my cousins were informed of my decision. After returning home to my flat one day, I discovered that I had received a wedding invitation in the mail. In preparation for Daniel and Vanessa's wedding, it was taken. There was a gruesome photo of them cuddling in a sunflower field that was included on the invitation sheet. In addition to it, there was a note from my parents. This is how it read pretty much exactly. It is imperative that you forgive and put all of this in the past. Although we are aware that things did not go as planned, we are a family, and families are able to work through difficulties. In addition to this, they asserted that Vanessa desired for me to be a bridesmaid similar to how she was for me. What is it? Is it the truth? On the other hand, that letter brought back a variety of old hurts. My therapist saw a significant increase in the number of clients as a direct result of this. At the moment, I find it laughable, but in the past, a little less so. Not a single response came from me. I just did one thing, and that was to figure out which members of my extended family had informed my former family members about my address and terminated their contact with me. Now we come to the most recent drama that has occurred. It was Daniel, of all people, who turned up at my flat the week before last. The fact that Nathan and I do not currently share a residence is not going to change anytime soon. Daniel appeared to be in fantastic shape, too good, as if he was making an effort to exhibit his best appearance when he arrived. "What do you desire?" I inquired to you. His words were, "I just want to talk. I am truly sorry for what I have done. We are both going through a divorce." Surprisingly, I arrived at the conclusion that she had been unfaithful throughout our whole marriage. I do not anticipate that you will accept me back, but I believe that we ought to have a conversation and find some resolution for the good of both of us. What I did was a double blink. He had passed out completely. I confronted him with my gaze and responded with a negative. "I do not grant you any closure. By yourself, you made the bed. That golden who has hers that has had more guests than the Holiday Inn was suddenly going to put up a no vacancy notice simply because you put a ring on it. Did you really believe that was going to happen? You're even more stupid than I had anticipated. Nothing is forgiven by me. You have no interest in me at all. It makes no difference to me. The fact that I am in a better position now will continue to be the case. You are free to go to hell. After that, I turned around and went back into my apartment, ensuring that the door was locked behind me. In an instant, I dialed the number of my landlady, who is the kindest elderly lady in the entire world. Over the course of these 4 years, I have developed a certain degree of intimacy with her, and she is aware of my past marriage. It appeared as though Daniel was still simply hanging out in the hallway. After a few minutes, her 2 nephews, who were helping to maintain the grounds of the apartment complex, arrived and informed Daniel that he was not welcome here, and that he was on a list of people who were not allowed to enter. In the event that he came back, a trespassing call would be made to the authorities. That was the last thing I expected to happen, but unfortunately it did not. My current job schedule, Vanessa, at 9 o'clock and ends at 5 o'clock. As a result of this, I make it a point to visit the restaurant on virtually every evening when Nathan is in charge of it. To avoid getting in the way, I simply hang out and take advantage of the few minutes that he is able to offer me here and there. I've developed close friendships with a significant number of the staff members, which includes a significant number of Nathan and Lucas's family members. And it's truly the kind of family atmosphere that I've always hoped I had. I am present the following evening when Daniel walks in and simply sits down at my table. I am there that night. It was a Tuesday that was quite quiet. As soon as Nathan became aware of the situation, he came over to check on me. I had shown him some photographs of Daniel, and he recognized him. Nathan is the recipient of Daniel's extended hand. Just now, Nathan took a look at it, and then he asked me if I would like to kick him out. I did not said that yet. I have a couple of questions for you. Daniel became more enthusiastic, like if he were winning or something. What a useful instrument. I inquired about the events that transpired between him and Vanessa and requested him to share them with me. To be honest, it was nothing more than morbid curiosity. According to what he told us, she was having as many as 2 encounters with married men. I guess that old habits are hard to break. So this was 2 years into it? According to him, it was a difficult moment for me. The eyes roll. I was the one who interrupted. You are not quite as stupid as you seem. Were you able to protect yourself, or did she manage to get half of everything you owned? It was Daniel's smug response. I decided to stay with her for almost another year so that I could begin putting money away and selling off some of my assets. In the end, she was only given a small portion of what she would have received. I inquired about it, and after that, what transpired with her? The response came from Daniel. She was forced to relocate once more to live with your folks. To reiterate, I was content and answered, yes, thank you. That was exactly what I was hoping to hear. You are free to leave at this time. It's Nathan. You have heard her. Leaving my restaurant behind, it's Daniel. On the contrary, I would like to. It was me that interrupted him. There was no forgiveness, and there was no closure. All I wanted was to know that my sister, who was a loser, was back at home. Get away of here. The door was pointed at by Nathan, who stood there. When Daniel turned his head, he noticed that the bartender and 2 members of the waitstaff were Vanessaing at him with a hostile expression. After tucking his tail, he rose up and turned his back to the entrance. Nathan was the first. And what happens if you ever return? In a matter of seconds, Daniel chimed in, Yeah, I know. Trespassing, the police. After he had left, practically everyone in the vicinity became concerned about my well-being. I found it both pleasant and uncomfortable. Calling me were my future in-laws, who I adore very much. For the sake of my own safety, they insisted that I remain with Nathan for the next few days. I have never had a family look after me in such a way as they did for me. And it was really sweet. It was the last time I heard from Daniel, and I pray that it will never happen again. Get up to date. It was something I didn't anticipate happening, but I have another update for you all. I hope you all are doing well. For Vanessators, I am a mother to 2 boys, 6 boys and 2 boys, and I am currently 41 years old. Nathan and I are doing quite well in this endeavor. At the moment, I am a semi-stay-at-home mom, and I work as a part-time office manager for the restaurants. Because Nathan relative invested in the company, we were able to establish a second site 3 years ago. Despite the fact that it has been a lot more effort, We have been successful because all three of them have remained highly involved in both locations. This offers each of them the opportunity to spend some time on their own. I'm quite sure I became pregnant while living with Nathan after his parents insisted that I do so after my previous posting. It wasn't the best situation, but I'm doing it nonetheless. It is now a joke between them that they have always wanted to be grandparents and that this was all part of their plan. Now for the most recent information. Following the previous instance in which Daniel made an effort to locate me, I reasoned that it was only a matter of time before either my parents or my sister had arrived. It was not an instantaneous occurrence. I felt that I had a complete support system, so I decided to loosen up a little bit and get back into social media. I didn't keep in touch with a significant portion of my family, including my extended relatives, but I also didn't fool myself into thinking that they wouldn't be able to locate me even if they made an effort to do so. When our first child was born, I did not receive my first message until after the baby was born. It did come from my mother. She offered an apology that was only partially sincere, made a statement about the concept of forgiveness, and inquired about her grandchild. I had every intention of blocking her, but the inference that my child was her grandchild annoyed me. I was going to block her anyhow. So what was my response? There is not a single grandchild in your family. As a result of the fact that I am not your daughter, my children do not have any connection to you. In the event that you are interested in having grandchildren, you should encourage Vanessa to go out and accomplish what she is most skilled at. During that time, I disabled her access. She created fresh accounts and attempted to get in touch with me for a period of time. However, I consistently denied or deleted any requests or messages that she sent. This brings me to the drama that occurred recent. I was inundated with messages, inquiries, and other forms of communication requesting that I get in touch with them. It was a sob story about losing out on the lives of the grandchildren and wanting to make amends for missed opportunities. I read some of it. In all honesty, I didn't care. My objective was to never again include them in my life in any way, shape, or form. An even more surprising occurrence had place after that. I was the recipient of Vanessa's first contact. Even though she didn't say much, she made it clear that she was eager to have a conversation with me. After this had been going on for almost 3 weeks, I consented to a meeting via Zoom. There are no children, only me. At the beginning, they were persistent in their request to visit the children. I did not waver in my resolve. That would not take place. There were 3 grandparents in their family, but that was all. Grandma, Mom, and Dad are Nathan's parents. I was beginning to get the impression that this was about something else that was going on. Vanessa appeared to be in a bad state, and both of my parents appeared to be older and more exhausted. They proceeded to apologize for everything that had happened, including Vanessa. As soon as we Vanessa-ed talking to each other, she admitted that she had made a mistake by acting in the manner that she did and expressed her desire to have her sister back. An idea like that is just absurd. After that, Mom grabbed control and proceeded to ramble on about how the family should be together and how they should look out for each other. After she was finished, I simply looked at them and asked, "Is that all you have coming to you?" "I'm going to check out." Then they yelled at me to wait, and after that, the facade began to fall apart. The truth about the situation was about to be revealed. Since the beginning of this decade, it would appear that Vanessa has been struggling with his health problem. Regardless of the cause, her kidneys are failing, and she needs a transplant in order to survive. It was for this reason that they made such a determined effort to get in touch with me. The most likely candidate for a successful match is a member of the same family. I questioned them directly. "Is this the reason you are calling me? Are you planning on rescuing her when she done what she did? Didn't my husband provide her with enough, and now she wants a bodily part from me as well?" I was told by my mother to cease acting in such a manner. Those events occurred a very long time ago. She added, "I get it, you hate us, but she is going to die if she does not get a transplant soon." She began to choke up and cry as she completed her statement. "Would you like it to happen? I am aware that you believe she has mistreated you in the most severe manner, but I would ask that we put that belief to the side for the time being." I became more subdued. I was curious to find out whether they had any further comments. In due time, Dad began to actually engage in conversation. "Look, we are sorry for everything that took place, but we are facing some very significant challenges. Because of her medical expenses and the fact that she is unable to work, both your mother and I are getting older and deal with our own set of challenges. We have a great deal of problems. We require you to return to Missouri in order to determine whether or not you are a suitable candidate. However, we also require assistance. Otherwise, we risk losing the house. My response was that you require both my kidney and my money. He responded by saying, "Don't put it like that." Vanessa added her 2 cents. "Simply come back to your house. My older sister is in my life. I do not wish to pass away. Can you just come over and check to see if you are a good fit? If that is not the case, we will never get in touch with you again." I told them that I needed to give it some thought and conduct some research, and that I would let them know about it either tonight or tomorrow. Following the conclusion of the call, I went to talk to my husband. After assuring me that he would be there for me no matter what, he inquired as to whether or not we should travel together as a family or if he would be the only one to accompany me. Both were rejected by me. I had made up my mind to go, and I was going to go by myself. Certainly. The following is the continuation, with punctuation added, while maintaining the integrity of the original content. I informed my previous family that I would be receiving my test results here in Minnesota, and if I was a match, I would come there to discuss everything else. I also informed them that I would be coming here. After that, I received the findings approximately 1 week later, and it seemed as though Vanessa and I were a wonderful match. I gave my consent to return to my hometown of St. Charles. It was necessary for Vanessa to be admitted to the hospital by the time I arrived because she had already Vanessated experiencing some problems. As a result of this, everyone got off my back about meeting for dinner. I had no intention of engaging in any kind of social activity with these individuals, especially considering that whenever they appeared to have a spare moment, my parents would inquire as to whether or not I had considered assisting them in regaining their footing against their financial difficulties. It was possible for them to stabilize Vanessa. I went to set up a meeting with the physicians who would be doing the transplant. The conversation Vanessated with them, going over everything with me, and I told them that I would like to have this chat with everyone. My parents were already present in Vanessa's room when we all went there together. After that, the physician Vanessated to explain the problem. Vanessa may have gone another 6 months without receiving a transplant. They went over the procedure with all of us and made a big deal about how perfect of a match I was, that the likelihood of finding a more viable donor was extremely low, and that the sooner we had the surgery, the better it would be. The next thing I did was walk over to Vanessa and take her hand. As I informed her, I looked into her large brown eyes and stated, "Did you come across that? I am an ideal suitor for you. Essentially, I am the only person who can save you, but I am not going to offer my assistance. You are perhaps the most disgusting and narcissistic piece of trash that I have ever had the pleasure of knowing. I came here solely for the purpose of informing you that the person who has been the most harmed by you is the one person who has the potential to keep you alive. However, you are now paying the price for that with your own life. There is no way out for you. It would be best if you make peace with that." All of a sudden, Vanessa did crying, and my parents came over to comfort me. Standing there in complete and utter disbelief were the physician and the nurse. I turned my head to look at my parents and told them, "Don't even talk to me, and don't you dare ask me for anything ever again from this point forward. If I were to ever spend any money on you, it would be for your funeral, with the requirement that you be cremated and the ashes be given to me. Other than that, I would never spend any money on you. When that time comes, I shall immediately place your remains in the most filthy John that I can locate without delay." After finishing what I was doing, I left the room and did not turn around again. At this moment, I am back at home in my actual residence, surrounded by my actual family, and I couldn't be happier.